So good morning to you, sir. I want to first of all say thank you for taking the time out to be here with us this morning. Yes. We know you have a busy schedule, but
it's always a pleasure.
In light of what happened yesterday, we definitely had to have this conversation because sometimes I'm passionate, and in passion sometimes
some fighting words.
Yeah. And sometimes in passion you have to leave room for you to be wrong. I believe if you find that there might be a case where you have to correct something, what you do with that information is what makes all the difference, right?
Exactly.
So shout out to DJ Hurricane who facilitated the connection between us, and I want to thank Hurricane. Hurricane has been a big supporter of just moving all the music out of the small islands over to us.
Yes.
And we've been pushing this since the pandemic. So we ain't start playing Buoyon yesterday because it got popular, right?
Yeah.
We've been playing it for a while.
Yes.
So with that said, I think we have officially set the stage for the conversation. So I had obviously, for the people who's just joining us who may not be aware, I put out a clip, right? GMGT put out a clip, and I was standing on 2 feet, 2 hands, and everything. I was standing on business, saying that Buoyon is not soca.
Buoyon is soca.
Buoyon is soca.
You were saying that.
Yes, I was saying Buoyon is soca. And for people who are hailing from that region, right? The St. Martins, the Dominicas, the Guadelupes, have a very different take on it and saying it is, in fact, not soca. So, real quick, can you just tell the people, the listening audience, who you are and why you being here to kind of explain this to us is important?
My name is Cornell Phillip. I'm from Dominica, the Commonwealth of Dominica. I'm also one of the founding members of WCK and one of the creators of Buoyon music.
Big band. First of all, round of applause to WCK and all the work that they've done.
And that was one of the
keep doing.
That was one of the first things I told him yesterday. Thank you for your contribution to the culture.
You're
because
welcome,
growing up and hearing WCK. WCK tunes used to mash up both, right? Fine.
And you know what? There's a little shame on me in the same way too. Let me say, my wife is from Dominica.
we love Dominica over here.
She's from Dominica, and WCK is a big part of the household. And we know the Buoyon is there. But you know, as I said, that conversation for us, for me, I'll put it out there. Let me just say, first of all, I've been here too long.
Right.
I've been here in New York City too long. I am more looking at the totality of everything, right? So I do understand. I get a full understanding yesterday, an explanation of how it started. So can you give us that breakdown of how you and the rest of the members that started Buoyon, how it came?
Okay, so I'll start
from the beginning. Yes, we have time.
I guess the early in the 80s, mid 80s to late 80s. Whilst I was in high school, I was 13 years old at the time.
Wow.
Right? I am the last of 11, and all of us play music. And it's not only, I wouldn't say we play music, but we were very much a cultural oriented family. You know, and me being the last, there's music in the household. I would always be playing on the piano, beating a drum, doing something. You know, my brother, who was always also in WCK, I would sit on his lap and we would play the piano together and stuff like that. So music was always in the house. My next brother, who is Phillip, was a cultural officer. And at the time, he was archiving the traditional rhythms and dances of Dominica, because it was, at the time, it wasn't the hip thing. It wasn't the in thing for the young generation coming up. You know, so what he actually did was take the bands, bring them down to the house in Roseau, and he started to record them on that tape and stuff like that. And at the time, my best friend Keith Goddard, who is also the bass player of WCK, and I would be around, and we would be playing on my next brother's song system equipment. So he had a little keyboard and he had a song system, synchronic song system. His name was Ashton Phillip, who also pioneered the marketing of WCK music throughout the world, I should say, in the 90s. And we would be playing along with the secular music at the time. And then what happened is that when he came, seeing that he was the elder, Darrell Phillip, that is, when he came, he would ask us to stop because he has his work to do with the traditional bands and stuff. So we being troublesome, we started to play along with the traditional bands. You know, so in one side of the room, you have the traditional bands playing, and on the other side of the room, this room actually, we would be playing together with them. So we had the electronic keyboard, and then we started to try to mimic what the drums was doing on the little drum machine on the keyboard side to play the bass on the left side of the keyboard, and I started to do something on the right side of the keyboard, and that is how it really started. So when people ask me what is the meaning of Buoyon? Where did Buoyon come from? I tell them Buoyon is the modernization of the traditional rhythms of Dominica. You
Okay.
understand?
All right.
So we started to play at tea parties. Being in school, I was in third form at the time. We started to play in tea parties, and then people started to gravitate towards what we were doing, because at the time in the 80s, the song system had totally taken over in Dominica. There were no real active bands. The only one active band that was there at the time was Swinging Stars, which you would only find for Calypso during the carnival season. All right. So when people saw these two young guys playing on a keyboard and getting such great song out of it, because it was new technology at the time, they started to gravitate to what we were doing, and then we started to develop. And by the early 90s, people started to tell us, yo, what y'all are doing is really unique, and you all need to identify. You all need to brand it. You all need to make it something unique. You all need to make the world know what it is. Because it was totally different from what jam bands, you know, the VI bands, totally different from what Trinidad, totally different from what Antigua, Burning Flames, and so were doing. We were unique in our own way. And we figured that it was time to brand it. And that's where Bouyon came about.
So what is the meaning of the word bouillon? Like what does it mean?
Bouillon is a mix-up. You know, if I have to put it in the food analogy, is
Right.
like a pot with all kind of different ingredients in it,
Kind of like a pilau.
kind of like a pilau,
Right.
which is why it was so fitting to call it bouillon, because it was a little bit of all the traditional rhythms of Dominica. It was the lapo cabriolet, the bele, the quadrille, you know, and all the different instruments that came from these different styles. You know, we just put it in there, and hence bouillon.
Oh. All right.
So let me ask you. For instance,
Uh-huh.
I am virgin to Caribbean culture,
Right.
and now I hear songs from Grenada, I hear songs from Trinidad, I hear songs from Dominica, I hear songs from all these different places, and I just say they all sound similar. My ears hearing them, same kind of vibe, same. So I decide to say it's soca. Would you like is there an issue in that sense, like somebody who's just without getting the history of all the different islands, because you're out where there in Europe, you hear a song, you don't know who's singing it, you don't know where that person is from,
Right.
you don't know. So on somebody say, hey, this is soca music, because that's the most popular, one that's rolling from the Caribbean culture, apart from reggae and dancehall. Could you understand why people will feel that way towards it, as the song, all of them have that similar vibe to it?
You see, um, how should I put it? When it comes to the conception that people the misconception or conception of what people might have about Bouyon music being soca, I get where they're coming from, because even if we say that Dominica is not a small island, Dominica is still being looked at as a small island.
Right.
All right. So that is one thing that Dominica has going against it. The next thing Dominica has going against it is numbers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We have a
Population very
population of
small.
71, average between 65 to 70,000 people. Right? So when it comes to the marketing of a particular product, in this
Right.
case, Buoyon or Dominican music, seeing that soca music and Buoyon music is similar in both tempo and rhythm, right? People people tend to gravitate to it being soca because of the similarity, and the reason for that is because there's the soca market is so vast compared to the Buoyon market.
Right.
You understand? So I can understand where the misconception comes in. Also, you have to understand that we share the same ancestry.
Right.
We agree that all Caribbean people, Black Caribbean people, in fact, all Caribbean people have
Yeah.
some connection with Africa.
Yes.
You know? So I always tell people that even though we're so different and unique, we all the same.
Right.
You understand? Because we share that common DNA. We share that
Right.
common DNA in our dance, in our rhythm. We born with that in us. So it will be similar from island to island to island. Right? But what I try to tell people, in fact, what I tell people is that I know for a fact Buoyon has no influence, wasn't influenced by soca, is because at the time I was 13 years old, I never went out. I
Right.
didn't party. You know, even today, I mean, I tour with a lot of Dominican bands right now, and I'm all over the place. And everybody knows me as an engineer, but hardly anybody knows me as the Buoyon creator or a member of WCK.
Right.
You understand? So it's like we have to, well, as I was saying, the Buoyon came, I know where exactly the Buoyon came from.
Okay. Okay.
You know, so that is why I can speak with a firmness. I can speak with authority and say, no, I am not. It's not that I am dissing soca. There's no diss. There's no intent to
Right. I
diss soca in
understand.
any way or
Clearly.
form.
Yeah.
You know, I can understand where the misconception is coming from, but you know, sometimes you are like, when I heard what you said yesterday, if I was somebody else, I mean, I even told my friends, if Dominicans get a load of that video, you can't come to Dominica, bro.
And
I said it, you understand? But I
you
mean,
know
I
what?
understand where you're coming from, and I was really, I was happy with the fact that when we spoke, is you came from a point of being educated, you know,
Yeah.
wanting the knowledge, wanting to understand what exactly is going on. You know, that is why I immediately agreed to come on the show, because I understand where your mindset was.
Right. We,
You know?
we didn't get a good explanation from the first person who came talking about
Right.
it. It was really vague. So
You see, and I mean, I can understand why, you know, because again, to Dominica being a small island is at a disadvantage.
right.
You know, but I mean, we have done so much. Dominica is very, very, very musically talented. I mean, we have talent all over the place. I mean, you see drummers on the side of the road, and you go like, wow, where do these guys get this from? Now, I would go to Trinidad.
Right.
Right? I'd go to Trinidad for Carry Festa, and they'd take us somewhere far down south or wherever it was that we went. And the same kind of culture that we have, they also have it in Trinidad.
Right. Right.
So
You understand? So it's so similar.
Can two things originate from a different place and end up being the same thing because of the influences behind it?
It can seem so, yes.
Right.
But I would say, okay, I would say, take for instance, let's just take soca. I mean, well, we're talking
Yeah.
about soca and Buoyon.
Yeah.
Y'all are DJs, right?
Right.
How often do you just overlay a song over a song? One being Buoyon, one being soca.
Every time.
We do that all the time.
All the time.
Yes.
From
Yeah.
the start, from the get-go, is that you
Yep.
do. Right? Now, what makes us unique and different is the instrumentation. The groove is
I fully
similar.
agree.
Yes.
Fully agree.
The groove is similar, but the instrumentation is different.
Different. I agree.
I mean, gone at it, you'd never find an accordion in a soca song. You
I
never
agree.
find probably an intro in a soca song, but that was our thing.
Right.
You would never find a tambal in a soca song. You'd never find a conch shell in a soca song until recently.
Right.
You understand? But
So
that was our thing, and that was our way of expressing
See,
the
fully
genre.
understood.
Right.
Identity is important.
Let me ask this. They started at different endpoints, but can we agree that right now there seems to be somewhere of a melding, like they're meeting somewhere in the middle, where sonically you can't really tell the difference. If you pull the instrumentation from a Buoyon song, doesn't it have the same underlying structure as a soca song?
I would say no. Similar
Okay.
but very unique.
Okay.
Similar but very unique. Our groove is different from soca. Our
Okay.
groove is definitely our soca artists would look at producing a song is totally different from how a Buoyon artist would look at producing a song. What that would be, the focus of the instrumentation is totally different.
Gotcha.
You know, because I always used to back in the 90s, I always used to say WCK is the scapegoat. WCK is the sacrificial lamb in the sense that our mission was to revitalize Dominican culture.
Right.
Right? We could have easily gone into the jump and wave phase. We
Right.
did not do that. You see, so when it comes to, take for instance, when it comes to carnival in Dominica, it's about chipping and it's about gyrating, it's about, whining and stuff like that. But the hands up in the air and stuff, although we have it, but it is not an integral part of our carnival on the road.
Gotcha.
You understand what I'm saying? Whereas with what Super Blue did, it was about the jump and wave, it was about the misbehave and all these kind of things. But that wasn't Buoyon.
What's his name again? One of the most touring artists. What's his name?
From
Dominica. Always touring, the kind of chubby guy.
Ridge?
Not Rich.
Ridge?
The other one.
Trilogy?
No. He
There's Ridge, there's Trilogy, there's Signal Band, there is
no Signal. Yeah, we know. Yeah, I just my head right now.
Taffy. There's
that
Calvin
was on the boat, right?
Yeah,
there are so many artists.
No. Sorry. Yeah. I'll get it for you. Because he's a mashup called kind of ASAP.
Issa, right.
Issa. Because when he in a soca fete is basically the same thing. Like
You could tell the energy.
Yeah, and the same kind of vibe when he is there.
Right.
You know. And even when they collaborate, you don't even hear that very enough. Like they're so different in the in the structure, in the delivery, in the whole vibe of the.
So let me ask a question. Is soca and Buoyon more alike or more different? Do the elements of both genres do they have more similarities than differences, or do they have more differences than similarities?
That's a difficult one. It depends on where you look at it. It depends on how you look at it. I would say I would go halfway with that.
Okay.
Because music is so vast. I mean, as I said, the first original music that was ever made was the first song ever made. Right. Everything else is a spin-off. So it's rather difficult. I can't say that it's so different. I can't say that it's so similar. Right. All I can say is that we cut from the same cloth. And soca has its origin story.
Right.
Buoyon has its origin story, and they never met. You understand?
I think they're meeting right now.
They are meeting. But to say soca, Buoyon is soca, I think that is wrong.
Right.
So I will gracefully accept that and say I was wrong to say that yesterday. But I think in terms of the big picture,
that's the part.
Are we doing a disservice to both subgenres or genres by arguing
separating them?
Well, whether we separate them, put them together or not, it feels like when people from the island of Dominica, that region, hears that, it triggers something emotional inside them, and a lot of the responses.
We are very passionate people, eh?
Yes. And a lot of the responses that I saw online last night wasn't from a place of fact. And that's why I needed you to come and have that discussion with me, because nobody's willing to have a real discussion based on fact. It's like, that's what I knew growing up, so it is. Somebody told me that, so it is. And a lot of times when we look at history, is sometimes the winners is the ones that's writing the history and not necessarily what actually happened. So the fact that you were actually in the room when that happened, it made the conversation that more important to me for us to have, because nobody jumping online yesterday was saying anything of much substance. Nobody. Right? And like I said, thank you for your contribution, because WCK has been a big part of a lot of the islands growing up. That conch shell, that how can I be? How can I that has been such a big part of our upbringing in terms of the culture and all that good stuff. I stand corrected. So I'm gonna say I stand corrected. I understand it, because I feel like in the same vein, Grenadians can be very passionate about oil down, right? Trinidad has a version of oil down. I don't even want to say that they say is oil down, and we Grenadians refuse to accept it. Although it's pretty much a lot of the same ingredients, right? It doesn't come out the same way. It doesn't taste the same way, but they call it the same thing. And I think this is what we're having here, because they use a majority of the same ingredients.
I see nothing wrong in each island having their own identity.
Right.
Yes.
But I think who that said it best, well, not best, but Voice said that there's enough room for all of us.
Yes.
You understand? So we can be different but willing to coexist. You understand?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these like that back and forth, a lot of it comes from the passionate fans. It's not necessarily from the musicians.
Right.
It's not necessarily from the artists, but from the passionate fans.
Right.
You understand? And I mean, when you really look at it, Buoyon is not one style of music. Buoyon is truly a Buoyon, because if you listen to the WCK catalog, there are songs that sound totally different from the others. They like we do a Wck song, we do a song closer to what the Buoyon that we have today. So it's like we want to be unique. Nothing wrong in wanting to be unique, but we also have to learn to coexist.
I agree.
The other day, right, I was going to upload a song to the streaming platforms, right? And there's still no category for me to put from soca, right?
The soca is there, but it's in a subcategory of reggae.
Right, but it on the initial page of what I go on it's not there. So it's hard enough already for even just the one most popular one. So let's say we do get it there. Are you as a Buoyon, are you clicking soca and say, let me put it on that soca for now? Are you guys gonna be okay with that, or still stay with, let me say, world music, or because there are these other options?
You see, when I do my uploads,
right,
I do my first genre would be, I think, what is it? I will put
reggae,
world.
You have world,
I'll put world and Caribbean.
Right.
Right, that's the two genres that I use, world and Caribbean. Why I don't use soca is because of the similarity, and because I'm looking at it on a broader spectrum. I mean, it's only fair to soca, to Buoyon, that I look at it on a broader spectrum until Buoyon can get its genre represented on the platform.
Got you.
So it's not a diss to soca.
Right.
But I think I'll be doing Buoyon an injustice to put the genre as soca.
Okay.
So let's just step aside from this conversation real quick, right? I've been to Dominica before. Right. I love Dominica. I do understand part of the problem of pushing the music is because while you guys in size as a country is big, the population is not that big. Yeah. So I am willing to come down and marry 2 Dominican women, right? 2 Dominican women. I want to come down and have like maybe 3 or 4 Dominican babies, right? So I can do my part to help the population grow. I'm thinking big picture right now.
I endorse.
I'm thinking big picture.
I endorse.
I'm thinking big picture. Right.
But I trust me. I really appreciate this.
Yeah.
Because GMGT and what we stand for here, we 2 Grenadians here.
Right.
And this is the founder here, Kareem of GMGT, and his whole he started this with in mind of inclusivity, everybody, not no coming and just play Grenadian music and jab and whatever. It was we did that from the very start.
Day one.
Zouk,
this
Tenere.
this Buoyon like wave that's hitting like
Everybody.
We've been on that, like the whole VI, the sugar mass. We've been on that since the pandemic.
Yeah, when we started this, that was the whole vision for this, to be this melting pot for the Caribbean right here. So Dominica, don't come after my guy. We apologize.
I mean,
He
the fellas to come
was
after me.
deserving of a little sitting down, I believe. If he didn't humble himself.
I just need 2 good not 1, but 2 women from the island.
Yeah, 2, not 1.
And trust me, y'all will never.
But you can only marry one, eh? In Dominica, you can only marry one.
Well, I ain't gonna get married then. But if I get that to happen, you will never ever hear me say Buoyon is soca. That I am going to repent my dirty ways and not say these things ever in life again. So, Mr. Phillip, I want you to make that happen for me. Tell the island I am sorry. I am repenting my ways. But for us to consummate this whole apology, I need 2 women from the island of Dominica.
Yeah, and I can tell you that Dominica woman sweet,
And
I
he knows.
Yeah,
he
I
knows.
know.
So
yes. So you can't go wrong with you. And getting 2, oh my gosh, that's a dream right there.
Yeah.
And you should come for the Creole Festival and Carnival, eh?
We will.
We're gonna try to make that.
Yes.
We have some plans. We want to come through, especially those islands in that region.
Yes.
I think the music and the sound out there is so underrated, and it's like everybody jumps on the wave, but what happens when the wave dies? Like, how are we gonna sustain it? How are we gonna grow it? And you can see right now a lot of the like so-called big soca artists is looking to collaborate. Look at how many collaborations Trilogy and Ridge and all these guys are having right now.
Right.
Avalanche is producing across all the islands, right? All these guys from with that different type of song, because sometimes like hearing the same thing over and over, people want to hear something sonically new, and
I agree.
I think the only objection I will say, I think there are more similarities than differences in the genres than we would like to admit. But I understand that national identity, that thing that you put your blood, sweat, and hours into, makes a difference, right?
It does.
It does make a difference.
I look at it totally different from how you'd look at it.
Yes. And that makes a difference, because I know if I have been here and in corporate environments, and from the time people hear I have an accent, oh, you're from Jamaica, right?
Yeah.
And that is like, I'm from the island, but why you gotta be Jamaica, right?
Yeah, I know.
So I understand that identity part of it, and when I listen to Buoyon, I'm hearing soca, but I do understand exactly and everything that you say. So I humbly apologize to the island of Dominica, and I want y'all to send 2 women for me now.
I apologize too for endorsing his message as well. Yeah, but we appreciate you, man. I mean, thank you for taking the time to come here to do this. Like it was big, and to know that you were the starter, one of the founding members of this, and we could get it from foundation, from the root. We appreciate that you're taking your time to do that with us.
So if you can, I'm gonna message you offline, but if you can definitely, I wanna put an open invitation
Yeah.
to any of the other artists, any of the other bands. I know you have an artist. I don't really want to say what the relation is because I don't know if it's my place to say it, but we do play a lot of cards.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
So Carlin XP, who is an artist, Hurricane has sent us a lot of her music. Is your wife, right? That's your wife.
Yes,
right.
she is.
And you are also her manager.
Yeah.
Right.
And hands up, I am an artist. He's the DJ, and I would definitely know. I want to jump on a Buoyon.
Yeah.
Buoyon, yeah, I ain't saying Buoyon. Yeah, I ain't saying Buoyon. Buoyon. I would love to jump on a Buoyon with him, you know, and for this 2025 season, and definitely we can make something happen. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's just a matter of making the
Right
connections.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm gonna hit you up off air, and then we can definitely talk about how we can open the doors for more talent out of Dominica and the region to come on here, because we have a very big, I would say, international presence. We have listeners from, you know, all through the region. We have a lot of people based in Europe and stuff. So we would definitely love to keep growing and spreading the good vibes.
Yep.
All right, cool, man.
All right.
Cool. And I guess you get all the music from Hurricane, right?
Yes.
We get tons of music
Yes.
from Hurricane. Sometimes I get so much music from Hurricane, I can't even go through them all. But thank you, Hurricane. Don't stop sending the music.
Yeah, he made all this happen this morning. So he took time off work for this morning.
Yeah, when I got the call yesterday, I was like, "What is this? Is this an ambush?"
Yeah.
So I have one quick question from one of our listeners in the audience. He goes by the name Styley. Styley hails from the island of Guadeloupe, and he's been somebody who's been pushing a lot of the French music our way to, and we've been playing it a lot.
Right.
So I consider him to be a cultural ambassador. He pushes the music all the time. So his question is, what do you think about Bouya from Guadeloupe?
I respect everyone's perception of music. You know, I mean, we call it Guada Bouyon. That's what we call it, or jump up. I mean, I like it, you know, and to me, music is put there to make people feel good. You understand? And I think once the music has some kind of positivity on the people, I have no problem with it. The problem I have is the responsibility. Sometimes, well, I see an artist and a musician. His sole responsibility is to push positivity into the world.
Amen.
Right? So I am totally against the disrespect of women. I'm totally against the smutty lyrics. I don't think it adds to the society. I don't think it contributes positively to the society. So everyone in Dominica knows that I'm kind of against the foul language and the smut and things like that. I can understand the masking, but I think we call it nasty business.
Yes.
You know, but I don't think it serves the society well.
Right.
And
So
also 100 years down the line, I think that kind of music will fade from our history. As an artist, you want to make music that would stand the test of time. You want music that will go on for 500 years and people will still be singing it as a folklore, some kind of thing like that.
So let me ask a question. I think it is because of Nasty Business, Buoyon has touched the consciousness of people near and far.
Yeah, I wouldn't go against that. I definitely wouldn't go against that.
Did the ends justify the means in your opinion?
No, because I think we would eventually have gotten there.
I think so too. I think you would definitely have eventually gotten there.
I think we would have gotten there. I mean, there's a shock value to it.
Right.
Yes.
And I mean, that is the same conversation that I have with every artist that comes, because this is the studio, but it's also a lot of the Buoyon artists come here to rehearse.
Okay, nice.
And I tell them the same thing. I mean, we agree to disagree and we move on. But I feel my responsibility as an artist, I look at it differently from them, because it is a shock value, it's a fast buck, but it will eventually die out.
But let me ask you, I know you said whatever, and I don't indulge in that as an artist myself, but what I would say is as the saying with life imitate art, art imitates life. Which one comes first? We don't really even
Life.
know. Right. And that's okay. But at the end of the day,
To
no.
me, music is an extension of the artist.
Right.
You
So I'm just
understand?
saying. So let me just like with hip hop, that artist upbringing in that hood with violence, and I ain't say it's not right. I don't like that kind of vibe. But this is what he knows. This is his environment. This is his life.
And I
he
mean,
wants
I
to- and he
respect
wants
him
to
for it.
speak about it.
I'm not going to
Right.
hate any artist for it. I
Yeah,
respect
yeah,
him. I'll
yeah.
just look at it differently.
Right.
You know, and I mean, I am in a position where I'm happy I'm in the position that I can express myself and be respected for my opinion.
Right,
You
right.
know, I mean, I talk to Trilogy and all these guys all the time, and they would look
You
at
know.
me and they laugh and they say, boy, you old school, boy. But that's cool.
They
But
know.
at the end of the day, we have our
Right.
mutual respect for each other.
Right, right.
Now, something I want to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
What are the hit songs of Buoyon right now?
I hope you
On
find-
rotation. Name the most Buoyon song you have on rotation right now.
Well,
The
that's it.
trilogy.
Someone else.
Someone else. Yeah.
Yeah.
The next
But,
one after that.
I would say is the road march y'all recently have.
Right. Rags.
Rags.
Give me another one that you like to play on the radio.
It's an old one. It's an old one. No. Let me get it out. I'm gonna try to play it, but yeah.
No. Once you get in it, I will say this. These hit songs, they share the same beats of
Right.
the nasty business Buoyon, but I can't consider them nasty business. They're not nasty business.
right. It's Buoyon.
So look at the hit songs that really trending today. Right? Look at the Signal, look at the Triple K, look at the
Signal,
you
Signal.
know the
Definitely.
Trilogy.
We
Look at
love Signal over
yes.
here. We
you
love
know
Shelly
the
and
hits that are
Signal.
trending today is not necessarily nasty business. So what does
Right.
that
Right.
tell you?
Right. Yeah, well,
It's going out.
yeah. That message, that other message that I always tell artists, it's brother. It can reach more people. You understand?
Right.
And that business will just stay in a certain section. Not everybody will. I can't go play that for my
Exactly.
daughter. I can't play some of them music for for my
Because they
6-year-old.
call it underground music and there's a
Right,
place for
right.
underground music and this
Right.
and that. But underground music defines itself already. It's underground. It's not meant to be above board.
Right. I got you.
You see, so
Yes.
I mean, we must accredit Nasty Business to where Buoyon is today.
Right.
We have to give them some of the credit for sure.
Yeah.
Right? But I believe that we would have still gotten there
I
eventually.
absolutely believe that too.
One, and when it comes to the longevity of the genre, we need songs like Someone Else.
Right.
We need we need songs
right.
like what Signal is doing, what Triple K is doing, and it can play anywhere.
Right.
And another thing, like we make songs and they're not radio ready, and then we bleep it. And then it is radio ready. To me, it's still not radio ready because we know why we bleep it to put it there in the first place.
Right.
So the message is still coming out. The message that it portrays is still coming out. The bleeping is a legal thing.
Yes.
It's
I
not
got
a moral thing. You
Yeah,
understand what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Yeah, we get it.
Respect is due for. Trust me.
Listen, Cornell, this conversation has been very illuminating for me. And again, I want to say big up to all the Buoyon artists, big up to everybody from that region there, because the sound, while and that again, almost all the islands over there have some very distinct sounds. Like St. Kitts sound is distinct from Dominica,
Band.
is distinct from VI, and it just feels. But all these like what I like to call subgenres has instrumentation, and I think the lower islands has stepped away from the instrument part of making music a while ago. Is that a good assessment?
Say that again.
I feel like Sugar, I feel like VI, like
Right.
the instruments, the
life.
how they build the music is a little bit different from the lower islands, who kind of builds from
I
like a
believe
digital
so.
thing.
I mean,
Electronic.
all this music has evolved.
Yeah.
VI music from back in the day with Jamba and Imagination Brass,
Right.
is totally different from what you hear today, because just like you had the accordion being so prevalent in Buoyon music, right now you have that bass, that high bass note in VI music.
Right.
You understand? So I think everything evolves. VI music has evolved. Buoyon music has definitely evolved. Soca music has also evolved. You know, so it's not a matter of the north and the south, but every country is unique. Every country is unique.
Well, you know
You
what
know, and
now?
I always tell when I come to practice with a band, like we're going to practice a song. So we'd listen to the song first, we would practice it, and then I'll tell them never listen to the original again.
Why?
We're going to make it ours.
Oh yeah, I like that. Trust me.
You
Trust me,
understand?
I like that. I
Just don't
love
listen
that.
to it again. Just
Yeah, I
don't, like
love
when we're
that.
doing Kali next rehearsals, I would tell them, okay, now we have gotten an idea of the song, pack
Go on.
everything on a side. We're not going to play the song again. We're going to
Do it.
make
Yeah,
it
make it.
what,
Yeah, I
what
like
make
that.
it.
I like
Just
that.
look at it differently.
I like that.
But even when like I'm looking at a lot of the festivals, right? Out of like again that region, there's a prevalence of bands. You
Yes.
don't see that on the road in a Barbados, in a Grenada, in a there is bands everywhere.
Yep, on the trucks.
Signal and Shelly and the Signal Band. Who else? There's so many
Triple
bands.
K.
Triple K. All these.
Ridge has a band. There are a lot of bands on the road,
So
and
what
trust
is
me,
it in
there are
the-
bands. There are bands that you don't know about.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what is it
Dominica has
about?
a lot of bands.
What is it about the cultural makeup that it seems like these islands are producing more bands than the others?
I cannot. I don't know why it is. I am happy that it is like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could answer from a standpoint of being an artist in Grenada where for you see, like this is Dominica from
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bands home,
Yeah.
but it has cheapened down in the sense of costs.
Okay.
And all this stuff. They don't like to hire bands. Most bands only do cover music, whereas Dominican bands,
Yeah.
they have original.
Right.
All of them, they do the original songs.
Okay.
Bands in Grenada mostly only do covers. Nobody wants to venture into that part of
Original creation.
So an artist
Okay.
might go work with a band afterwards, but the band still want to keep its identity of doing
Right.
all these covers and
So
what.
it's economical.
Yeah, in that sense.
Okay.
Home.
It's
That one of the
economical. I can see your point there, but too, I don't know. I really can't say what it is in Dominica. I don't know
Right.
if it's the passion of the
Yeah.
genre, or the passion of the art of music, but the DJ, we favor the band
Oh,
much
yeah,
more than
yeah.
than the DJ.
Anytime I'm paying to go to watch
Listen.
an artist, if it's with a DJ,
Listen.
I'm not paying money.
all artists in
Right.
Grenada favor using a band over a DJ.
DJ.
However, they just wouldn't
The
pay.
promoters wouldn't pay. Okay.
The promoters won't pay.
They just wouldn't pay that amount to get. All artists would prefer to go every show
With a live
live
Okay.
band. I can
Yeah,
tell you
yeah.
that for sure. And it's just that not every little
Right.
they just wouldn't invest in that area.
Yeah.
Like
I
the
don't
way
know. I mean, when I think of it a lot, I think of that argument a lot. And when it comes to Dominica, all of us so closely knit. You know, all the artists and all the musicians so closely knit. You know, I don't know how it is in the other countries, but I know we have a tight, we have a
Community.
strong, you know, it's a lot of us, but we cramp up in one room and we're doing things together. We would always have our rivalry and stuff like that.
Right.
But when it comes to the art form, we can always call on each other, which we do all the time, you know, and we just have that kind of camaraderie and respect for each other, and we just love the live band. You can't
I
play Buoyon
think-
music without a live band.
Yeah.
Trust me.
You know,
Listen.
and it very and again, to the music is very spontaneous, eh?
Yes. It
You know,
sounds
because
like
a lot of the rhythms and
it
all of a
sounds
sudden
like
it
it.
just comes from it, and
yeah,
you can't do
from
that
just
with a
naturally
DJ.
playing.
Yeah.
You just go with the vibe. It
You
sounds
just
like
go with the vibe.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like playing live is a vibe. Something
Yeah.
happen in the crowd, and all of a sudden it just makes
Yes.
a whole
You
big
switch
thing.
up.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
latest one right now is My Rhythm.
Yeah.
You know about that?
No. We gotta get
My
on.
rhythm, there's a situation that happened in during Carnival at one of the events. And the guy was making noise that is my rhythm.
Yeah.
A
Oh,
French
right.
guy. And all of a sudden, that is the biggest thing.
Yeah. I saw
You
the
understand?
incident. I saw the incident where they were on
Right,
stage like
right,
cussing back and forth.
right.
I saw the incident. So they made a
You
song
know,
out of it?
yeah, well, it is a chant right now. Every band has its own way of own chant
Oh,
with it. You know,
wow.
and that is that. You know, a lot of songs derive. A lot of Buoyon songs from Buoyon artists in Dominica derive from a live incident.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
So I
You know?
remember one time we asked Hurricane for music and he's like, yo, that's not even a song, boy. That's a live recording. Them men say
Exactly.
they can't find the masters or something. Sometimes we hear
So
something and
much
we say,
so much so that we actually sometimes we want the studio recording to sound like the live.
oh,
Yep.
You know, so even right now, all bands that put in original, or all artists that put in original material out, they use live drums.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep. That what I tell you. Is the
You know, we
difference in the
use live
songs and the
drums to
tones.
bring in that live feel, to
Yeah.
bring in that kind of live
Listen.
vibe into the song.
wow.
There is a song, Home in Grenada, that was popular just by itself. I don't have by Temperatures. The live band rendition version to that is even better.
Yeah. The
Right.
The live band version is even better, and it have that Buoyon tone in the drums. I'm telling you, and that's what separates for me with the Buoyon song more than anything else. That live drums and that live, you know, it's unique. It's unique. So listen, we know better now.
Yeah. So we go do
We're
better.
gonna do better. It's the two of us here. We not stubborn, especially when it comes with knowledge. We ain't stubborn.
So once we know better, we promise we're gonna do better.
Yeah.
We have another question here. The question is, and this woman is a big lover of the culture and soca, but she loves music. She asked, "What is the words in the first verse of Kong Shell?"
Keep on the spot there.
Yeah.
No. I just want to make sure I have everything. A whole heap of man out there have their line stretched out to the sea, looking to hold some fish just to whip up a potpourri. I like me fish well boiled, cannot stand it with too much oil. So I get out me seasoning just to do some Creole cooking. Then all kind of fish in the
Yeah.
mooring and balafwe.
Okay.
Agony, you heard it here first. Listen, I think we need a documentary about these things to put out there, because I believe a lot of people are coming on social media and having these arguments out of passion and being misinformed.
Yeah.
And I am happy that you took the time out to come and sit with us versus saying, "Oh, them man, them don't know what they're talking about." Who they think they?
Yeah, whoever does film on that level should do a documentary with you and the whole Buoyon.
Yeah. I think things are in the works. You know, things are in the works.
Nice.
Actually, there are documentaries. You know,
Okay, yeah.
there are documentaries, but it's one-offs of individuals doing their thing. But to say, it's unfortunate that we don't have like a museum or somewhere you can go and get all these things documented.
Right.
It's unfortunate that we don't have that in Dominica, but eventually I think it will be happening soon enough.
Okay. Nice. Listen, I think we need a museum of Caribbean culture right here in New York City, because I feel like New York City is like the mecca of it's the melting pot. Like
everybody.
I have Bayesian friends, Vinci friends, right? Mm-hmm. We need to have a central location where we can go and see the evolution of culture from stage to stage to stage to stage.
Right.
People like you is who's gonna ground that information in fact versus hearsay and thing. One of the biggest like moments I've had like in being here, we had Super Blue here one time.
Right.
In the interview, I did not do the interview, but I was in the studio listening to it because I always like to hear the elders. And some of the background information that he was able to give like in terms of timing and who artist was around and right. That made me have such like a wow understanding of how that whole thing, that $1 million going on $1 billion industry right now, is to understand how these guys came up sleeping on people's couch and having to run down and record, drunk before they go to work and all these things. And then that fascinated me so much. And there is nobody out here like cataloging that information.
It's not that people not out here, Right now, our thing is short. Our attention span is short.
Attention span.
People are giving these information out. But I'm telling you straight up, we get talking all this now. Numbers may even go down.
Yeah.
Because now it's information and it kind of gets boring.
Right.
In the sense for us it's exciting. For us who wants the information. But to the general public now, with us, we have to figure out ways now to package it so neatly now and short in a way and summarize it in a way to get. And I don't want to do that anymore. I feel we dumb it down. We cheapening a lot of stuff because now we trying to cater to trying to get people to come across. And I'm glad we're here and we had a full conversation as opposed to just trying to summarize and short.
Sometimes when you're giving people food to eat, you can't put the whole thing in their mouth at the same time. Get them a
we can start it, but they want the whole thing still.
I think the information is kind of lacking out there, but I think
it is
out there. People will tune into it. Because there are schools, there are high schools. Well, the high schools in Dominica, they have a CXC music program. Oh, wow. And sometimes some of these kids, for their exam, they would come to me and I would, for me to listen to their compositions and give them advice on it. And you'd be surprised. The kind of like as if they want the information, and it's not only the art of playing the instrument, but the history behind the instrument, and and the musicians who played them. So I mean, the young children, we kind of think that they are lost cause, but deep down they still have a passion for what's good.
Nice.
They still have a passion for that.
It's similar to Karakou, everybody in Karakou plays an instrument. Everybody, it's like a thing that they never lost. They never lost the culture in Karakou. Grenada, so forth, kind of, we shake it a little bit. But in Karakou, everybody, like, it's a thing. It's a real thing. All the different cultures, all the different, they make sure to get it in there. And everybody knows an instrument. Everybody plays some type of, So it's good to know that it's the same, similar in Dominica, even though the numbers are small, that the understanding is there, that the love for it is there on that level. And that's why it's happening now in that way that Buoyon is taking over.
Yeah.
You can hear
definitely.
it. And it's going to last because it's good quality stuff.
It's good stuff. It's definitely good stuff. And I mean, it will be here. Buoyon music is here to stay. Soca music is here to stay. All genres are here to stay. We the artists just have to be responsible with it.
Yes.
And the people, I mean, what the fans can be passionate, but once we give them material that would last the test of time, we should be good.
Amen.
All right. Yes.
Mr. Phillip, I appreciate you one more time. Thank you. Please apologize to the island of Dominica for me. Tell them I have learned from the error in my ways.
The thing about it is that, sorry to cut you out, you have that out on video.
It's fine. But it's what I do.
If Dominicans get a hold of that, they're going to go viral. So what I suggest you do is do another video.
Clips of this
we'll put out this clip too. We'll put this out.
But the bacchanal will spread faster than the...
Exactly.
It is what it is.
The drama is going to spread faster than the apology. But I apologize to the island of Dominica. I have learned from the error of my ways.
Yes.
I just want a nice piece of land with 2 Dominican women, and I will come down and settle in the island and change my nationality to Dominican, because I know the island, the population is small, so I want to do my part to help it grow. And all love.
I apologize for my endorsement as well.
Yeah, you did endorse it.
And he should have known better. His wife is from Dominica. He should have known better. Don't allow me to lead you down the...
But it's the same way, you know what I mean? Yeah, but it is what it is. I appreciate, man. Any last words that you want to say before you take your leave? I know you have a busy day.
Well, I mean, I'll just say what I said earlier. We just have to agree to coexist. I think just as soca music deserves its respect, Buoyon music deserves its respect, Jamban music, Jab Jab, Denry, all these genres, they are Caribbean, they are island specific, yet we cut from the same cloth. So I think we should we want to be unique, but we should learn to work together to coexist and come together, represent the Caribbean. You realize how much the Caribbean is being represented today, and it's not only because of social media, because of all what we are doing. The Caribbean is a very powerful people.
We little, but we talawa. Yeah. We little, but we
You
bad.
understand? So
Yeah.
we just have to keep it up. Think positive, and I'll also tell the musicians, think responsibly when you're homing in on your craft, when you're doing your stuff. Just think of how it's going to impact the community, if it's in a negative or a positive way, and always try to spread positivity.
All right. So I just want to say, thank God Dominica does not have as many people as, let's say, a big island, because if the whole of Dominica does see the clip, it wouldn't be as bad as, let's say, a Jamaica or Trinidad, where it's like 2 or 3 million people coming for me. So that is the only.
If that clip stays up, you're gonna get some blues.
I'm already getting it. Hurricane sent me a few.
Even when I showed it to some of my friends, I told them, "Yo, don't share that."
Honestly, Hurricane,
you're going to get some lashback.
Yeah. And I'll take it. I have to be able. I have to be able, if I stand on business in what I said, I have to be able to take what the consequences of my actions.
Yes.
And I am man enough to say now that we've had this this conversation, we can let it go. But Hurricane already sent me a few screenshots of people reposting it. One person said, "If ignorant was a person." Anyway, I am happy that you took the time to come here and have this conversation with us. So
sure.
It is what it is. But thank you. Shout out to you. Shout out to Dominica. Shout out to all the artists pushing the genre and just pushing the music out there, and making it do what it does. And
thanks to you for playing the music.
And I'm not going to stop playing the music even if Dominica comes for me. I'm not. The music is good. That is not going to change anything.
You can't stop greatness. You can't stop good stuff.
You can't stop it. Cornell Phillip, guys, one of the founding members of WCK and one of the pioneers behind the Buoyon sound, is right here with us this morning. Appreciate you. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for your contributions to the genre, to the culture, and enjoy the rest of the day. Big ups to you. Big up to the whole of Dominica.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for having
me. Let me play one of my favorite Buoyon songs out of Dominica. Hold up. Let me try this real quick.
Tu l'as baisé, t'es devenu papa,
This is Buoyon, right?
T'es devenu bâtard,
One of my favorite songs out of Dominica.
It's Guadabuyon.
It's
Guadabuyon.
That's Buoyon. Okay. Thank you for that. Cornell, enjoy the rest of your day, man. Thanks.